In the world of investing, we talk a lot of times in terms of like percentages, and percentages seem inconsequential sometimes, and they kind of remove reality when it comes to money. So for example, if you had 100 grand and you could actually earn 10% on that over 30 years, the miracle of compound interest would take it to 1.74 million bucks, assuming no fees, no taxes, no volatility. So it's pretty big assumptions, but that's what you'd see on those charts. Now, what if you had 0.8% of non-performing fees? Legal fees, admin fees, 12B1 fees, which are marketing fees for the funds, like just different things like that. If you only earn 9.2% instead of 10%, it grows to 1.4 million. That's $340,000 confiscated from your bottom line and from your finances. So when it comes to investing, I want you to look at it more like dollars and cents and bottom line rather than percentages. Because if there's exponential compounding growth, there's also exponential logarithmic loss when you have a lower interest rate, right? So the other piece on the investments are, I want to make sure that you've protected the downside, because I know the market did pretty well so far this week, but it hasn't been doing so well lately, but it's been doing really well for quite some time now. As a matter of fact, this is the second longest period in the US history without a recession. So what happens when that changes? Far too many people participate in the downside, and the news erroneously is going to tell everyone that money's been lost from the market. Money doesn't just disappear. It doesn't just go away. It gets transferred. It's like going to Vegas and you sit down to play poker and you're sitting with all the champions of the World Series of Poker, not knowing it, and they're just letting you win. And you're feeling really good about it. You get this false sense of confidence. And finally, when there's enough chips on the table, they finally play different cards and they take all your chips. The news would report that as the money was lost, but it wasn't lost. It ended up in someone else's pocket. When we had this major crisis in 2008 and 2009, the money didn't go away. It went into other people's pocket that had full-time analysts that had different insight. And if we think we're just going to hand our money over and it's all going to work out in the long haul, I think we're in for a different story, because technology is rapidly changing, and what used to be long-term Fortune 500 companies are going to fall to the wayside faster than ever because of anything from artificial intelligence to small companies being able to compete because it doesn't take the same amount of manpower, to big companies being really like fat and have a hard time to trim that fat because they move so slowly. And if you're just going to be in that for the long haul, it already hasn't worked the last 30 years with decent returns. So all that being said is, I want to make sure you protect the downside so you don't have to participate in that and transfer your wealth. I want to make sure that there's no non-performing fees that are confiscating that wealth. And ultimately, I want to show you a methodology that within 3 to 7 years, you can have economic independence, because if you do, it gives you a really strategic advantage. Like if someone's following the methodology of saving 10% of their income and trying to earn 10% on that income, it's a fraction of a fraction. But what would happen if you're economically independent and all your lifestyle expenses are handled from your assets? That means all your active income from your business could be reinvested however you want it. Maybe in the right people, in processes, in technology or other procedures that ultimately could give you a distinct advantage over your competition and grow a business at an unprecedented rate.